Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Abundology podcast. It's my favorite time of year, the time when I get to talk with my favorite astrologer, Deborah Norton. We get together on every solstice and equinox to talk about the astrology for the next quarter, for the next season. And here we are again, Deb. Can you believe that summer is here?
I haven't figured that out. I mean, Oregon hasn't figured that out quite yet, but it's getting there. Today's a lovely early summer day. We've had a lot of Pacific Northwest stuff, so, but it's getting there.
So I know that the question on the top of everybody's mind is you have stopped doing readings. Can you give us a little bit of info about why you made that decision?
Yeah, and it's astrological in nature.
Of
Has
course.
to do with a pretty intense transit that I'm going through. I I could talk for an hour about this, so I have to be selective. But basically, part of it, I'm having a major Saturn transit, Jupiter conjunct Saturn in Gemini. So for me, that's a big, huge spotlight, a magnifying glass on my Saturn stuff. And what I do have a hard time with is focusing on the right things. And so I have an intense ability to focus, but I had to realize, and I've told everybody that has ever had a reading with me is going to completely understand this. It's very easy. Maybe this is all I have to say. I have told everyone for years, Saturn chips away what is no longer you.
Yes.
And I would be quite the hypocrite if I didn't listen to that transit in the way that it's pulling on me. And the way that I know that it's pulling on me is because it's not lighting me up. My clients are lighting me up. Don't get it twisted. It's not the same thing. But I have a very, very fixed amount of free time in my life. If astrology were my 24/7 job, great. But it's not. I'm a software developer 40 hours a week. And it's intense work. As you know, I have to reschedule things a lot. So my free time is very limited. And I have now, with this fun Gemini energy, Jupiter in Gemini, and this is a good segue, with me having Saturn in Gemini, it's a very, very, very hot spot for me. And it's in my first house. So it's all about everything about me and how I identify to be. And it's also about the rising Uranus on my rising. Uranus has been in my 12th house for years, and I've had the craziest dreams. Uranus has now crossed over, and I'm so full of stories that I want to write and I want to, I don't know, present and entertain people with, that I'm moving away from doing readings because I want to do really creative, fun, theatrical, like stuff again. And I haven't wanted to do this since my 30s.
Well, that's
So
exciting.
it feels amazing. It feels amazing. I'm having a ball. And I have to be selective and say, I need my free time to be for the things that really light me up. Simple as that.
Yeah.
And again, the all of the clients that you have brought to me and beyond it's not about you at all.
It's not you, it's me, huh?
It's me. It's Saturn and Jupiter dancing upon me in major ways, Uranus dancing upon me in major ways. So this is just astrology. It's just what it is. And Gemini teaches us, and I've also told everyone this, and you've heard this a million times, and this is what's highlighted right now for all of us because Jupiter is now in Gemini, is that you've got to be adaptable. You change or you die. And sometimes it's not a physical death. Sometimes it's just spirit death because you're doing something that doesn't light you up anymore because you're good at it and because it helps people and it feels like it has value. And maybe you're even making a little money, but then you start to die because if that's not where your soul wants you to be, then you better pivot. And Saturn in Gemini, that's one thing I can do. I can change my mind about what I want to do, and then I will do it all. I will obsess, go all the way into the, I go all in, And then, on that. And so that is just shifted away from astrology for me, not being an astrologer, but just being a professional astrologer. That's all.
Yeah.
I have the idea that some of my clients out there, I have all of your information. You may just get an email because I have a feeling that you need a reading, and I'm just going to pop up I'm just going to give it to you because this is not what I want to be my business anymore. It's simple as that. That's just where I am right now.
Well, good for you for following your heart. And I appreciate that where, when things change, as you know, me being a Gemini,
You should
I love
understand
to
all
change.
about this. Yes, yes. This you probably digested well and I've done this before, Renee, remember?
Oh yeah, I do remember.
Yeah, so sometimes you have to go when you're someone who studies human behavior and you're someone who watches the stars and you look at long stories, and you can't get too stuck in the small details like the Gemini. You have to think like a Sagittarius, where the world is wide open and you need to get the bird's eye view and you need to get the view from underneath. And so you have to experience astrology to be a good astrologer. And so I have to go underground sometimes. I just do. And when I feel it, I know it, and it's instant. It's instant. And then I write that letter and and then I let the chips fall where they may. I have not responded to everyone who's emailed me yet. I apologize. I have not looked at that email because I'm actually going through some grief over this. So that's natural. It doesn't mean that it's the wrong choice, but I cried a lot of tears that day. So I am a very sensitive Cancer. So I have put a boundary around myself and said, don't go into that email until you're really ready to talk to people and respond in the right headspace. So I will be returning emails. I don't want to lose relationships between any of us. And stay tuned because it's ever evolving for me.
Well, I do appreciate you continuing to do this podcast with me. You know how
Yes,
much I
the
love
podcast is
you.
fun.
Yes, it's fun. And you're still doing your podcast too,
Yes.
correct?
So yes, an update on that. I know everybody, the listeners that we do have expressed that they really enjoyed, and that means the world to me and my sister. But my sister's daughter just got married. We're just now, we made everything, the dresses, the blah, blah, blah. So this was our whole life for months. That has just happened, and now we're decompressing, but we are talking about our next episode. So yeah, the podcast I love doing this. I love doing, our podcast. So that is.
Well, I will put a link to your podcast, Cosmic Disruption, in the show notes. So people can at least go back and listen to the old episodes till you have the new ones up. So
Absolutely. They're there forever. It would be awesome if people want to, pick it up now. We're going to come back.
all right. So where do you want to start?
Yeah. So Jupiter, let's talk about it. So we are in that happy summertime, which is June. And we are in happy Jupiter land now because Jupiter is here with us. And I don't know, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling all kinds of giggly. And, now that I've kind of redirected my energy, I'm having a lot of fun just being silly and creative and playing games with my family and writing. I'm writing a book. I've talked about it on the podcast before on my podcast. That's the other thing I really enjoy. And so do the things that you enjoy. So if you enjoy whatever it is, there's a million things you could enjoy, but do it because Gemini is making it possible to kind of jump into the frequency of giggly joy. Yes. Everybody knows what giggly joy is, right? It's the best thing. It's not meant to endure for time and time and time, but when you can jump in that wave and that current and that frequency, boy, you want to ride it as far as you can because it's the stuff of life, isn't it?
It
and
is.
That is in a really good place for all of us right now. So it's the message is don't take anything too seriously because it can change so quickly. Gemini, remember the hummingbird, it's just like you. And so we all have to be willing to just be like hopping along the waves, not like taking the waves. We're just hopping along the waves. Gemini likes to cover ground, but not go too deep. And that doesn't mean about not being a deep person, it at all. It's different. It's because it's spread out horizontally and not vertically. That's all. And so Geminis like to network, reach a wide range of life experiences, and through little connections. You know, Renee, it's your whole gig. It's exactly why you're so great at what you do. And you are light on your feet. We know back to evolution that it's always that if you do not adapt, you will perish. So it doesn't get more serious than that for me to realize how important adaptability is. And so we're all just getting a lesson in that right now. It may be that things are happening externally that are throwing you around a little, and that's because you need to be shaken up. You know, it could be like me, where it comes from the inside, it comes from my spirit, just all of a sudden saying, pivot. Have you seen that Friends episode? Pivot, when they're on the my husband and I laugh so hard every time. And Ross is up against the wall and he's like, pivot, when they're trying to get the couch up the stairs. That is what is happening. You need to pivot. And then twist and turn and spin and fly. That's what it's about right now. I love it. How are you feeling, Miss Gemini?
Oh, are you kidding? I love Jupiter and Gemini. This is like, I feel like this is my energy out in the world.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So are you feeling that you're feeling the vibes stronger than normal? What are you doing about it? Are you doing more or are you doing less? I'm curious because you're my specimen right now. You are Miss Gemini. So you tell us, this is how we all learn. What does it feel like? And how is it different from when Jupiter wasn't in Gemini?
Once again, I think I feel more like me. Like I feel like the world is me, where sometimes it's like, what is wrong with the world? What's wrong with you guys? And now I just feel like everybody's on my vibe. So lots of positive, happy energy, fun things, you know.
Yes, exactly. It's a current. That's what I'm learning. And this is something I think about hours a day, hours and hours every day, about how energy works, because that's the basis of everything we know to be true. That's all we know. That's all we really know. Come on. And we're all made of the same particles. And we're all in a state of flux. All of our molecules are always moving. There is no matter. There is nothing solid, right?
Right.
So I think all the time about how you get on a high vibe, how you stay on a high vibe. And it's something I might even write a book about this. It's something I'm working with called the golden thread, and how to follow it and how it gets you and how it weaves you through life. It's a whole thing, but this is where I'm at. I'm feeling so creative. My mind is working a million times an hour. That Gemini, I feel it. You know, and it might be particularly for me because I have Saturn in Gemini. I mean, this is how it works. So if you have Saturn, if you have Jupiter on Saturn, it's a lot. It's intense. So, all right, let's jump in a little bit more into this summer, because I could talk about this all day. We're coming into let's see, July 1st. Oh, Saturn retrograde, my bad. Saturn retrograde is happening in 10 days. Okay, so Saturn is still in Pisces. It's just doing its best there, guys. Pisces is not the best place. Saturn is trying to whip the dreamers into shape and put them in line. And the dreamers are like, no, it's fluid. We're everywhere all at once, like that movie. That's like Saturn trying to be in Pisces. Watch that movie. And so it's not the most comfortable place to have it for all of us collectively. But then, of course, it depends on where your natal Saturn is. And everyone should have their chart and be able to look at where their natal Saturn is. And if you have Saturn in a mutable sign, that means Pisces, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, this is going to hit you harder. This whole time with Pisces. Now that Jupiter is in Gemini, that's also mutable, because those all make a square. So Jupiter in a mutable sign is going to ping off Saturn and touch all those things that Saturn is square to from Pisces. So mutables, look at your charts, guys. And you know what? This is awesome. I would love for everyone to be their own astrologer. Like, seriously, look at your charts. You can do this. I've been talking about it for years with a lot of you, and you can just look at your own chart and understand this. It's that square thing. You know, I talk about it taking you out. So be aware. There might be a bigger zap of that while in the next year, while while Jupiter travels through Gemini. So Saturn retrograde, it's just a grind. It's a grind over what is important to you. What is you in the sculpture? What have you not, what needs to be chipped away and let go of? And the more you're able to just go, I love you so much, but I gotta let you go because you're not me anymore. It's the summer for this. Everything I'm talking about, that's the energy. We're starting off with this energy, and that's going to kind of ride us through the whole summer. Do you have any questions, Renee? I know I'm talking a million miles an hour.
So if somebody doesn't have their birth chart, can you tell us where we can go get one for free?
Oh, of course, astro.com.
Astro.com.
Yep. And it's a really nice website. They've been keeping it looking good, the people who run it. So it's a great place to learn all kinds of things about astrology. But yeah, you can run your chart. Yeah. So shall I move forward?
Move forward.
Charge ahead. Okay. In early July, we're going to get what's called a semi-square from Chiron to Jupiter. And I don't always talk about semi-squares, but I'm bringing it up because it is a hard angle. It is Chiron, the planet of healing and healing yourself with Jupiter again. Heal thyself. This is an opportunity early July, like July 1st, but all around, honestly, from like next week through then, it's a healing portal is opening. And there's a big spotlight on it, but it's about some harder edge stuff. So be prepared for that. Feel your feelings. That's my motto this year. Okay, Neptune retrograde the next day, and that is the second of the big outer planets to start turning retrograde for the summer. As you said earlier, it's more retrogrades. So that's the spacey Neptune is the outer dimensions that we can't physically interact with, but we do spiritually. So retrograde is just going to go more inward. So you might getting some downloads. I mean, that's would be awesome. It's in Pisces. So again, mutables, immutable people. Then we're going to have Mercury entering Leo at the beginning of July. That means watch your words. They could come out to be dramatic. You're trying to win a moment instead of be in a conversation. You know, there's a big difference between winning the moment like a Leo and just being really listening to what's actually being said to you. So that's something to be aware of through the beginning of summer. Watch your words. Then Venus is entering Leo. We're going to have this Leo party. It all kind of gangs up by August when the sun is there. So we're going to have a kind of a extra vibey Leo. That's great for summer. That's fun. That's entertainment. That's whatever, like it's the sun, Leo, the sun, whatever is your sunshine. We're all going to be feeling that. All right, then let's see. Mercury enters Virgo at the end of July. That's when our heads are going to start feeling a little bit more straight. You know, right now Mercury is in Leo, and that's, you know, like a dramatic sign. So sometimes our thoughts are dramatic. But once it enters Virgo, where it likes to be, you're gonna feel like, okay, I can think a little bit more clearly now. I'm less pulled in by the energy of it, and I can think, okay, what did I get myself into? That's what I do. I plan things on energies when it's like Leo, and then I have to do it in energy like Virgo, and it's like, what was I thinking? Why did I say I would do that? All right, then we have a Mercury retrograde, yay. On top of all that, beginning of August, that runs through, let's see, where do you end? Late August. Okay, so it's the month of August, Mercury retrograde. Yay. Don't talk to anyone, just have fun. How about that?
Well, it sounds like that's kind of the theme this summer with, you know, Jupiter and Gemini, and then the Leo stuff at the end of the year or end of the summer.
Yeah, the Leo stuff, it's like, honestly, with the with Venus there, with Mars there. It's about going out, having living out your passions, more physically than mental, more sensual than mental. Like, don't think too hard. All the stuff is going to figure itself out. This is summer. Like, remember when we had summer break? Oh, how much
Yes.
fun that was on the last day of sixth
Yes.
grade, and you got the special popsicle, and you're like, yes, I'm free. And you know that feeling. Do you remember that feeling? I do. I
Oh
can,
God, are you kidding?
yeah.
Yes. And this is
Everyone
what
should
the
go back and remember what that was like. We all do have responsibilities. We're all adults, but think like you were when you were 12 and it was the last day of school.
yeah. The summer has that nostalgic feel,
Yeah.
of like
Yeah.
when we were kids riding bikes and,
Yes.
swimming and eating ice cream and all that
Yes.
fun stuff.
All of those things, all of those things. And Leo is ultimately about creativity. So dive into something creative that just helps you lose time, whatever it is, doesn't matter. What I could say a million things, whatever creative outlet you have, really be putting energy into that, especially through August. Okay, then things kind of get serious when we move into the late summer as we go into Virgo. We have a Uranus retrograde. Oh, that's great for me. It's going to go back into my 12th house probably. Uranus is still grinding on all of us from Taurus, the stodgy, thick earth, solid sign. And Uranus is like, I want to rip you apart piece by piece. So those of you with Taurus, like moi, I have a moon and rising. It's been a thing, this journey with Uranus. If you're a Taurus or you have a fixed energy, this is really for you. That means Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius. This Uranus energy has been riding all of us for a while, for a couple of years. It's got some more time to go, but it is going to move into Gemini. And then, wow, I don't even know what to say about that. Because Uranus in Gemini, Uranus rules Aquarius. It's all about electrical circuits and our brains, how they connect. And when Uranus is there, it's going to be like, we're all going to feel like our brains are, like turned up a notch. That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what happens with you.
I'm your guinea pig, Deb.
Oh yeah, especially right now. It's like my spotlight's right on you. All right, so that is the most exciting stuff. There is a big, yes, mid-August. This is kind of the big transit event of summer, is Jupiter square Saturn. Pisces to Gemini, mutable. For me, it's not on me, thank goodness. But I feel like this might feel for everyone a little bit how I just went through with, I had Jupiter on Saturn. It's this feeling of Jupiter's big, it's a spotlight. It's going to tell you, this isn't you. It's like shining a light and seeing your outline under the sculpture, right? And seeing where it's gotten brittle and dry. And now it just needs to be like knocked off you. Jupiter is shining the spotlight on that Saturn work. So Saturn's like, hey, thanks, Jupiter. I can see way better now. Now I'm going to just, I got it. Finally, I got that piece off. That's how it feels. So I think everyone's going to get a little bit of that in mid-August while we're having Leo fun. So try to keep it light. Try to just stay loose. Stay loose, mongoose. Like, be ready to just shift and pivot and like a Gemini.
Well, and also, this is when our authentic selves come out.
Yes.
We grow, we don't stay the same. We don't like the same things we did in high school. We change, and that's part of the
Yes.
great part of life. So when transits like this come along, it's good. Like you're saying, it chips away the shit that we are done with so we can live more and be more authentic.
Yeah, it's dry. It's not you anymore because it's
Right.
out. Your blood isn't pumping there. You know what I mean? I could say so many metaphors on this topic because it's such a visceral metaphor for how Saturn works. And I think Jupiter on Saturn, you get it. I think it's very clear. It's just a spotlight.
Well, also what I like then is then we go into fall when we get to there as these new versions of ourselves, these
Uh-huh.
more authentic
Yep.
versions of
We're
ourselves.
going to have Mercury direct, then Venus is going to enter Libra, and then Pluto is going to dip back into Capricorn one more time and then come out right at the election. Okay, I'm not even going to talk about it because I'm not going to think about it this summer. There's plenty of time for all of us to figure out what we're going to do with the outcome of this election in late September. There's plenty of time. A million things might happen between now and then. Do not get pulled in. You know how you feel. Nothing's changing that right now. Everyone knows how they feel about this. You're either voting one way or you're voting the other way. I doubt there's very many people in the middle, honestly. So just don't, it's not our problem yet. It's not our problem. It's not our problem till November. So that's what I'm telling myself. I'm not going to let it spoil this beautiful time and this beautiful summer for me.
Well,
Living in fear.
And the energy for a summer like this doesn't come along all the time. You know, the planets are constantly shifting and energy is shifting.
Oh, yeah.
We don't get one of these types of summers every summer.
Oh no, we get the planets moving through the summer signs, but we don't get Jupiter. We don't get Jupiter.
Nope.
So it's, Pluto then is going to move back by November, and we'll talk about this next time into, like I said, into Aquarius right before the election. I don't know what Pluto's going to dig up between September and November. It'll be interesting, but Pluto is going to dig one last thing out of Capricorn. Last thing out of this broken system is just going to get hammered. And the curtain's going to get pulled back. Ooh, I'm making a prediction. I hardly ever do that, but I just feel like this last little dip, because it's such a short dip for Pluto. It's just a matter of months, and we're used to Pluto doing things in years. So for it to just dip one more time, that's just to go like one more, like knocking down the broken system. And
it's
however
like you're having a fight. You're like, one more thing.
Yeah, and one more thing, because I forgot to say it, and it's really good.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Something is going to come to light, I believe. But I'm feeling positive overall about all of it, because I'd rather do that than not.
Of course.
I'd rather feel positive than negative. So
of course.
That's the wisdom of the ages, right? That's you.
So are there any eclipses this summer? Are those more in the fall?
Yeah, no, only at the very end of summer, we go into eclipse season, because eclipses only happen around the equinoxes. So that's something to keep in mind.
Great.
Eclipses are tied to the equinox. So we don't have eclipses other than those times. And so, so there's a full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces on September 17th. And then as soon as we move into fall, then 2 weeks later, we'll get the solar eclipse. So they always happen together.
Well, I have to say, I love how the stars have lined this up where we have that Jupiter and Saturn chipping away at the stuff that's not authentic. Yep. And then right with that, then as we go into fall, we have these eclipses again that are
just
shipping
to like
us.
sweep it on out like that. That's the dust buster. It's like, like all the dust and the crumbs and making it all clean. Yeah, exactly. That's how Virgo should feel. That's the Virgo energy of early fall. It's like, all right, we're back to business. You had your fun in the sun, and now, you're righting the ship and get ready for the next winter. It's in our DNA. It's how we move through seasons. Yeah. That's why Aquarius. That's why astrology works. It's based on the seasons. And the seasons tie us all together. We're all completely impacted by our weather and by our earth and what the environment is where we live. And so, and believe it or not, it works in Australia, because I've given people in Australia readings, and it's completely flip-flopped, but it's just different. It works differently. It's wild. That's a story for another time.
Well, you know what it feels like is it feels like that energy, like when you get out of like middle school and you're entering high school, or you get out of high school and then you're getting ready to go into college or on to life, whatever it is that you're doing. It just like you get this one last burst of loveliness of life. And
Yep.
then here we go again, and it
Yeah.
shifts.
You get the autumn leaves, and then, things start to die. Here we are. We've been on this journey, how many years now? Gosh, Renee, almost 10, probably,
Yeah.
about a decade, you and I
Yeah.
writing these seasons, writing the astrology. And yeah, I want to just keep coming back for this because I love these updates. I really do. It helps me too, because it makes me focus and think about it, and so that I'm prepared and aware.
Well, and it's nice every once in a while, 4 times a year, to step back and take a look at the bigger picture. We get so in that day to day human part of us that it's nice just to step back and say, what's going on again? Where are we?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, absolutely. And now is the time to be pulling yourself out of that haze. The habitual, get up, I make my tea, I do, we do the same things every day, every day, every day. And every morning when I'm making my tea, I'm like, here I am again. How many days have I done this exact same thing? Go sit in my office, go to work, summer's supposed to interrupt all that. Even though we're not kids and we don't get a summer break unless you're a teacher, God bless you all teachers, you deserve it. We have to do it somehow. You have to do it mentally. You have to get into summer mentally, because yeah, the work is the same job, same bills. But even if you can't like afford vacation or to get away, like do it in your mind. Find a way to just get out of your rut and get out of your normalcy so that you can have like the summer that you haven't had since you were 12.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. Well, I really appreciate you continuing to do these with me, Deb. Thank you, thank you,
Of
thank you.
course,
You know
this
how
is
much
so
I
fun.
love you and how much we love getting your updates. And yeah, we will be back then in the fall
Yes,
the
we
fall. Oh
will.
my gosh,
Let's
to
not
do the
even think
next
about
one.
it. That's so
Yeah,
far away. We have so much fun between now and then.
exactly.
I'm not even considering. I'm about to fly my butt to Germany all by myself to see Taylor Swift on one night and come back to the States. That's where I am.
Well, good for you.
Having a wild solo European escape for myself, all by myself, and I'm terrified, but I'm also really excited to
Well,
do.
and that sounds like the perfect summer fun, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing something I would normally never do. Crazy that feels insane to do, but I'm doing it because I'm in my 50s and we get to do whatever we want now.
Yes, we do. Well, thank you so much again, Deb. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And we will talk to you again next time.